Hello again, Nick with CC Minis here, and today I'm going to show you how I made these road bases. So I made this particular base for my Imperial Fist tutorial, but it doesn't really work. The model doesn't fit on the base properly, the pipes are all sorts of in the way, and no matter what angle or direction I put it on, it just doesn't look that good. So I gotta remake it. And I'm gonna do 5 more bases too, just for funsies. These are the leftover bases from my Imperial Fist color experiment, which basically makes me a scientist, so I'm gonna put on some gloves. We are gonna need some cork to start. This is the cork sheet stuff, and I break it up into little pieces about this size. A bit of PVA glue is all you need to stick them to the base. I like to put the pieces on as if it's like a road with some large cracks running through it. This seems to give it a more Wasteland feel. I suppose you could do a full base of cork if you wanted to, but that seemed just a little bit dull to me, and I wanted these bases to tell more of a story. Time to get out the bits box and have a look around. Let's see what items we can throw around these bases to build the world a bit. Yeah, that one looks good. Ooh, defiler parts. I think that'll be just perfect. Alright, this is a cool tree. Okay, yeah, that should do it. With a few snips of the old trusty clippers, we can get these bits into more manageable sizes. Large enough to be seen, but not so large that it would overwhelm the base. For the Imperial Fist captain, I start to see a story when I tested this little Dark Angel icon on the base. It was once stronghold of the Dark Angels, but has been left abandoned by the Imperial. Okay, so I got these silicone tubes, which are pretty neat. I'm gonna try to use these like pipes coming up from the ground. These go on pretty easy with super glue and a bit of accelerant. Oh, wait a minute, I forgot to clip the rest of the bits. Here we go. Ooh, alright, I know who took over that Imperial city. It was Chaos, baby. For years now, the outpost has laid in ruins, but the Imperial Fists have been called down to retake the stronghold and fortify it. You know, this is why I love the hobby so much. These little bits and pieces of plastic just have so much narrative power to them. Just combining a few on a base along with some discarded cork, and we have this really cool story playing out in our heads. I don't know of any other hobby where you can really do that. If you want to see what other stories my crazy head comes up with, consider subscribing. I make these videos 2 or 3 times a month. Or if you want to help this channel grow, go ahead and give it a like. It really does help YouTube share it with other people. Commenting kind of does the same thing. It tells YouTube that you guys like my videos. But the biggest way you can help the channel grow is by sharing it with your friends who are also in this hobby. Alright, okay, I'll stop doing the whole YouTuber thing and get back to work. Now that they are built, it's time to start painting. I start with a nice thick coat of Vallejo Surface Primer Black, which of course clogged up my airbrush. Guess I'll just have to finish these with a brush. No Zenithal Prime to start out today's paint job. That's okay though, we don't need it. Now that it's primed, let's give the road a nice coat of gray. I try not to get gray in all those little recesses. Those will read as little cracks along the road. For the yellow lines, I'm going to try making a stencil. I use green painter's tape and I cut 2 long rectangles out of it. I gently push it down against the model, then I'll take a makeup sponge and dab a little bit of yellow on. I try not to stipple too much yellow on here though, as I want some of the texture of the sponge to show through. This should make it look more worn and realistic. The stencil didn't work perfectly though, so I'm going to go back in with some gray and clean those lines up a bit. Now we gotta add some Wasteland to these Wasteland bases. Right now it just looks like a road in Chicago after it thaws in the spring. I swear the potholes get bigger every single year. Just wait for the spring, I bet we're going to be swimming in them. On these bases, I'm going to use Martian Iron Earth and a bit of Martian Iron Crust. I did the Iron Earth in the recesses and the Iron Crust on the roads itself. I figured this way it would look like there was some red dusty sediment on top of the road, but in the cracks, maybe it looked like all that sediment was once wet and kind of dried and got all craggly and stuff down there. These take about 8 hours to dry, so I went to sleep dreaming about the forces of chaos decimating Imperial Fortress. That was a nice dream. It was good. It was nice. These bases have a boatload of texture, and that's perfect for using washes and dry brushing to build up contrast. I made a wash concoction out of red tone, strong tone, and some dirty paint water tone. I should clean this out more often. These bases deserve nothing less than a full bath in the wash. You can really go to town with washes when you have textures like this. After the wash dries, I pull out my trusty old makeup brushes and do a dry brush of some beigey off-white color. I'm not really liking how much the red sediment is covering up the road at this point, so I go back in with that initial gray color and kind of stipple it back into the road. After that, I'll take some black paint, reinforce some of those cracks, do a bit of recess shading in the different bits, and lastly I'm going to outline some of the road dirt sections to give it more dimension. It's kind of like a little shadow from the dirt. It'll look good. This also works great as an outline to the yellow lines on the road. Alright, let's bump up the brightness on that yellow. It's looking a little dull at the moment. Yeah, that's better. And now it's time to get some rust on that metal. I use GW's Razer Rust here and really globbed it on. I really like the texture that it gets if you put it on thick. This little angel thing deserves some highlights. There you go, little buddy. Okay, something's missing. The red is looking a little too pink from the highlights. The rust looks just orange, and the road kind of looks gray and flat. I mean, I know it's a road, but still. It's time for some Sepia Wash. Sepia is quickly becoming my favorite wash to tie everything together at the end. I don't really do it on models so much, but on bases and dioramas, I feel like it gives a nice filter at the end. It turns the pinky highlights back into something that feels red, gives a little bit more volume and interest to the rusty bits, and brings more dimension to the road, and overall ties the whole base together. Alright, now that that's dry, all we need to do is throw a quick rim around the bases. I felt like using mahogany here, as it's the same color used in the model these are made for. And there we have it, some nice Wasteland road bases. What base style would you like to see me do next? Please let me know in the comments below. Thanks again for watching, everyone. I really hope you liked it. If you did, give it a like. It really does help the channel grow. Subscribe if you want to see more videos like this in the future. And as always, stay healthy and take care. See you next time.